Hey, what if we wanted to create a completely different hero banner? This is why I love website design and page builders, because we can make it up, or we won't make it up. You normally have like a wireframe and a sitemap and a layout that you might have scribbled down as to how you want your website to look. But what if you wanted to completely change it? So I'm going to change the style of this, okay? But we are going to still use the Bertha generated words over there, you know, a friendly way to a better morning and products to help your cat and all that. We're still going to keep that. I might fine tune it a little bit, but we're going to create a different hero banner with the same image. This isn't going to take long at all. What we can do is, rather than completely deleting it, I'm just going to right click and hit duplicate. And what I now have is a duplicate section here. Now the image is exactly the same. The reason being, because you're getting a bit of an overlap here. Can you see that? The image is just scrolling behind. That's because they're both on a cover effect, but we're going to change that. First thing I'm going to do is go over here to my section, go to style, and I'm going to get rid of the background image. So there we go. We have section 1 that we did originally, and now we have section 2. Now section 2, we'll just go over here to the navigator. There it is. If we click into it, there is only one column at the moment. Remember, we have a header, we have a divider line, we have another bit of a heading over there, and we have a button. What I'm going to do is just change things around a little bit. I'm going to go over to my column, go to style, go to border, and get rid of the box shadow like that. Just click the undo button. It looks like an undo arrow, so we've got rid of the border there. I'm then going to go over to my column, and I'm now going to hit add new column. So now what we have is column 1 that has content and column 2 that has, at the moment, nothing in it. Let me go back to my section. Let's go back over there. Let's go to advanced, and I'm going to get rid of the padding at the top. So what that now means is that our entire content is going to be right up to the top margin of the section, as it will do for the bottom as well. Now you will notice at the bottom here we still have some spacing. Let me go over to the layout of my section. Remember, the VH was 100, but now I'm just going to drop it down to 0. So what we now have is like no spacing between the top and bottom. Yes, there is a tiny bit. I know, I admit it. There is still a little bit of a tiny bit there. And that's because in the column, we had some padding. For now, let's just put that all to 0. Because sometimes when it comes to building out a section, a hero banner, anything, I like to get the content in. And then I mess around with the margins, the padding, and stuff like that. I like to just get the content in. So we have some wording in column 1. Let's also get rid of the margins over here. So there we go. Really tight now. 0 spacing on the margin and padding. And when we go to column 2, I'm just going to hit the 0 there as well. Again, everything is zeroed out. Into column 2 is where I'm going to add the image that I had already added before. So let's click on the column, go to style, go to background type, and we are now going to pick the image. And the image is, it's not that one, that's the mobile one, remember. We're going to pick this image here. So let me go with insert media. So now that image, let me move this, is just over here. Now we can't see it fully at the moment. The reason being is because the trouble with columns is that unless you add content into here with some padding, you won't see the image fully. But you can get away around that by using a spacer. So it's over here, okay? It's one of your basic widgets. It's called a spacer. So I'm going to drop that into there. Now, as soon as I do that, you can now see, we can see a bit more of the image, a tiny bit more. But let's now increase the spacer height. So if I now do this, you can now see more of the image, but there is still a little bit of a problem. I cannot see the cat at all. In fact, it's not until I increase my screen size, I might see an ear or two, depending, because I'm on my MacBook, the screen size, I can't see it at all. Don't worry about that. This is so simple to sort out. What you do is go into your column, we go to the image. I'm going to set the positioning to be center. Now we get the cat. What if I was to go with top center? So you can see here that we're not getting a really good, excellent layout at the moment with that. Don't worry. I'm going to go to my attachments and I can now decide, is it going to be a scroll or is it going to be a fixed? Now, if you go with fixed, it does shift it a little bit. So I'm going to go with a scroll effect there. What I'm also going to do is say no repeat. So I don't want a tiled effect. And this is the key one. If I go for cover, you get the whole cat. and the image, and it's now contained within that column. Look at what we had before. We had a horizontal image. Now we've gone for a more square-like size, but we can see the cat. If I go for contain, you're going to get a lot of spacing or dead space above and below because it's a horizontal image. So this is where the cover works beautifully in what we're trying to get across here, okay? So we've got an angry looking cat over there. Now, the cat is, I have to admit, looking over to the right. If I want to shift him to look to the left, I could go back into my media library over here, edit the image, and I could flip it. Let me show you. Edit image. Over here, I could flip it. So it's now looking the other way, and then I hit save. Now, you might say that this is going to affect the section we had above. Well, for the purpose of this training we're doing, I'm actually going to get rid of that section. So I'm going to change the look of it, and we're going to get rid of that section above, okay? So now I'm going to hit insert image like that. So there we go, we have a flipped image, and the cat is now looking the other way around. Now, if I scroll up, that image there is still looking the other way. There is a chance today or later, when I start to refresh and update and purge the cache, this image might flip. But for now, it's not doing that, but we're going to get rid of it anyway. So now we've got a flipped image, right? If I now do this, the wording is way, way, way too tight to the left margin, right, and to the top. So let's modify that. We are going to go over to our column. By the way, this section, I should importantly add, is a full width. There is no gap, and we have a minimum height of 0, okay, and it was column position to the top. I'm going to change this to be column position to the middle. So now we're away from the top margin. We're still full on against the left, though, so we still have to do something about that. Let's go over to the column. We're in the column, edit column, we're in the advanced tab, and for the padding, I'm going to unlink so I have individual customization of each of the areas here. And I'm going to say for the left, give me 50, and for the right, give me 50 as well. Now, you could use percentage as well, just bear in mind, though, depending on the size of your screen. If you were to go for, say, 10% and you were happy with it, on a really big ultra-wide screen, that 10% might look a lot bigger than you actually intended. So let's just have a look at that now. So we now get our nicely spaced out column. We're next door to the image. I do think there needs to be more spacing over here. So I'm going to go back over to the right, and I'm actually going to double it up to 100. And that now looks a bit better there. So cat-friendly way to a better morning, products to help you and your cat start the day in a happier state of mind. Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, there is an option here, though, where I would say, even though Bertha gave us that, maybe the word products to help you feels a little bit passive. So I'm going to now go over here, click on this header, and I'm going to get rid of the front bit there and just have help you and your cat start the day in a happy state of mind. That feels a whole lot more active. But I also want to now add a little bit more color into this section. I just think this on its own is feeling a little bit flat. So I want to add a bit of a boost to the color we have over here. So I'm going to go over to the column that we have here. Okay, and this is where I'm now going to go to the style, and I'm now going to color it. I'm going to go for a much more of a vibrant color here. Okay, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to use this yellowy color. That now affects the button, but we'll come back to that. Now, instantly, you'll notice that the top and bottom of our column is not coloring in. It's not to do with the margins or padding, because we only added padding on the left and right. So what's going on here? This is actually really, really simple, and a lot of people struggle with this sometimes. So let's set the minimum height, or the height, to be default. Now, when you do that, please bear in mind that your vertical align shifts back to be default. Just put it back onto middle like that, and you are totally okay now. Now you get to have a think about the sizing of your content and if anything needs changing. So the divider line, I'm going to make this be a 4, and I'm going to go over to the size of it. I'm actually going to stretch it now to be 75%, just so it looks a little bit better. The trouble we have, though, as you can clearly see, is the button is not visible. That's dead easy to do. Let's just go over to the style of the button. I'm now going to make the button be the light color that we had before, that kind of the color at the top there. And I'm going to give this now a bit of a border. So let me just go to the hover color. We'll leave it as it is. We'll go there, and I'm going to go to the border, go to solid, and I'm now going to give it a size of about 2 pixels all the way around. And I'm also going to change the color of the border to be that soft color there. And we might as well change the font as well. And there we go. We've made it a bit of a darker color there. So what we now have is a cat-friendly way to a better morning, and we have our perfect per activate button. We could have given it some border radius, by the way. You know, I could have rounded it off and all that. I will round it off a tiny bit. I'm going to go with about a 5. So there's a tiny bit of roundedness there, but not a big amount. So a cat-friendly way to a better morning. And then we got the slogan over there. That will be our hero banner that we're going to have on the page. And that works pretty simply. You will notice as well that in terms of structure, it is set up at the moment as a 50-50. We haven't gone for that or even that size. That does actually work as well, I think, with the smaller image. That does work as well, but I'm probably liking this one a little bit better. What we're now going to do is completely scrap this section. So that will now be our new hero banner. I am going to make one more tweak though while we're doing this, and I'm going to go to the transform, and I'm just going to check how does this look if we were to go with a bigger font, not a bigger font, sorry, an uppercase font. I'm just going to modify the size of this. I'm also going to increase the letter spacing just a little bit like that, and I'm also going to increase the line height. Why did I say it like that for? Line height. Okay, just to be something like that as well. The last change I'm going to make is to the family of this, and I'm going to put this as railway. It just looks a little bit better like that. So that is our modified hero banner that we're now going on the page. Now, there is a little bit of a disconnect going on here. We've got this one color over here, and the color is repeated there, but then we've got a bit of yellow. We've got to try and tie things back in a moment, okay, with all of this to make sure it feels more connected. But that is another way of doing your hero banner. This time, rather than having an image going across full width, we have it just taking up a portion of the screen. And sometimes when you're trying to get your wording across, I would recommend doing this. Don't feel forced into having a full width hero banner. In fact, this could have been just an image, and you could have had the full yellow going all the way across, and you have just an image that's sat in the middle. Again, you don't have to go with a full width.